For us, it's a daily thing.
It's every day, right?
This is Mammoth Daily
We're going to take you inside the locker room
with Mike Fulta.
We want this show to be about the fans, and we want this show to be driven by our Utah Mammoth community.
And Adrian Denny.
Fans can submit what they want to hear us talk about, what they want to hear Utah weigh in on. It's all going to be here.
Here's Mike and AD with you.
Utahns, countrymen, lend me your ears.
Right here on Mammoth Daily.
Hey everybody, welcome on in. Adrian Denny with you on Mammoth Daily. Mike Fulta will be along momentarily with his morning after last night's game against the Columbus Blue Jackets. We'll hear from head coach André Tourigny. Thought he had some really interesting things to say following the contest. He said it was the first game he didn't like in a month. We'll talk about it. We'll look ahead to the rest of the homestand. Our Monday morning power play will give you the top 5 stories entering the week and fun facts in the third period on the Winter Classic. Thanks for joining us wherever you're consuming Mammoth Daily on Apple or Spotify, Utah Mammoth YouTube page, Mammoth Plus or SEG Plus. Thanks for tuning in. If you have a chance to subscribe, like, leave us a 5-star rating. We'd love to hear your feedback as well in the comments on YouTube or on Apple. But thanks for coming along for the ride. We're with you Monday through Friday, your team podcast from your Utah Mammoth radio team. Mammoth fall 3-2 in overtime to Columbus. It was a game where they gave up that early goal, but then they kind of took things over in that first period. They got 7 of the final 10 shots after giving up the first 8 shots and falling behind 1-0. Clayton Keller stand out there with Jack McBain and Daniil Boot because they're just so much fun. Helped Utah get that first goal of the game, tied it at 1 as Michael Carconi waited to change, and Keller just took care of it. Mammoth got that first one, and then they took a 2-1 lead in the second period. Early goal in that middle frame for the Mammoth. Just 1 minute and 2 seconds into the period, Mikhail Sergachev firing one home. Another goal for Utah, assisted by Captain Clayton Keller. More from the captain coming up in the Monday morning power play. But Utah got into some penalty problems. Penalty late in the second. Columbus scored their first power play goal since before Christmas, tied it at 2. Won it in overtime on a late penalty by Daniil Boot after what Utah thought was a missed call for tripping on Sean Dursey. Boot got called for penalty in the final 24 seconds. For the Mammoth, big deal there was that they got the game in to overtime, got the point. They were shorthanded for the final 24 seconds of regulation. So for the Mammoth, 3-game winning streak comes to an end. They do get a valuable standings point, tied now with LA and Seattle with 48 points and that 2-team wildcard spot in the Western Conference. More on that coming up as we roll on. So lots to cover here on the Monday Morning Power Play edition of Mammoth Daily, but let's hear from our radio play-by-play announcer, Mike Fulta, get his thoughts. It's Mike's Morning After right here on the Monday Morning Power Play edition of Mammoth Daily.
All right, here on our Mike's Morning After, following a 3-2 overtime loss at the hands of the Columbus Blue Jackets. It is a crazy pattern. 3 straight games, 3 straight 3-2 overtime games. Columbus has won twice in Utah. Mammoth have won in Columbus. So I guess that means when we go to Nationwide Arena on March 7th, the Mammoth will win 3-2 in overtime. But a bummer of a game for Utah, considering they had the lead. They had a 2-1 lead. The Blue Jackets tied up, and they scored 2 power play goals, including one in overtime at 4-on-3 to put a wrap on the night. And hearing from head coach André Tourigny after the game, he was acknowledging this was not Utah's best. I don't think it's one of those games where, there was a lack of focus or things like that. I just think it wasn't one of Utah's best games. And I'm going to focus on the macro here instead of the micro and look at the positive, which is Utah got a point out of it, and they played maybe a D game and they still got a point. And Vanacek was good and helped you earn a point. So that's kind of how I see this game. And you hear you hear this wisdom every now and again that I got my pickup basketball players pulling up to me now. They have much bigger trucks than I do, so I'm a little more intimidated than I usually am heading into these games. But you hear this wisdom from time to time that Like every team has so many bad games a year. Like it's an 82-game schedule. Every team, even the best teams, have 5 clunkers a year where nothing goes right. And I waved to him like, yeah, you're going to put up 20 on me later. Um, and every team has 5 games a year where everything goes right. So you have to find a way to win the ones in the middle. Maybe it's a different number depending on who you ask. Maybe some people say 20% of your games, everything goes your way. 20% of your games, nothing goes your way. What do you do with the 60 in the middle? I love that wisdom. I just don't agree with the numbers behind it. I think it's more of a spectrum. I think it's more of an even spectrum where throughout a year, there's going to be kind of this bell curve. If we go back to our statistics classes, there's a bell curve where on one tail, there's the really good games. On the other tail, there's the really bad games, and then there's all the games in between. But it's continuous. It's not like three different piles, good, bad, and in the middle. It's continuous. And Utah, I think, would be closer to the bad games, not all the way at the bad games. It wasn't like an 8-0 loss. I got a point out of it. It's not like everything didn't go their way. Jack McBain had a goal bounce off his back. Like that was one of Utah's 2. Sergachev's goal hit a Blue Jacket in front. You got 2 goals that didn't go in cleanly, greasy goals. And so you had a couple bounces that went your way, but you as a team didn't have your best stuff tonight. I think that's easy to say. And so when you play a D game and you get a point out of it, that's something to look on and be like, all right, let's move on. Let's be better next game. We're going to have to be better next game. But let's not try to overmanage, overcoach, overanalyze this game when it is what it is. You played a D game, a D+ game, and you got a B- C+ result. I used to do that as a test taker. Me and a couple of my friends were really good test takers in college where we had no idea what we were doing. We were like D students, like D+ students, but we were really good test takers. You can use context clues. You can kind of use context clues, but use test taking skills, right? There are things you can do to improve your score above the level of knowledge that you have. So even if we knew 60% of the material or whatever a D+ is, we would score like B's because we were good at taking tests. That's what this feels like. You turn in a test where you knew a D's worth of knowledge. You get a D on this test and you get it back from the teacher and it says 80. It says like 78. I got a C+. That I'll take that. I'm like, my parents aren't happy about it. The scholarship fund isn't happy about it, but I'm sitting there feeling pretty good about it. And because internally I know I've got a lot more I can give if I really, really buckle in. So that's my analogy to wrap it up. I'm happy to get a point out of that game, considering I didn't think Utah was very good. I thought VTech was pretty good. Other than that, I think there was a lot to be desired as a group. So get back at it. Homestand continues. You still have a point streak going. Don't just write that off. You have a point streak going. Keep racking them up. Keep racking them up because it's going to matter. And the schedule's only going to get tougher after this homestand. I'm talking about opponents, not like rest and recovery wise, but there's some gnarly games coming up after this homestand, and you've got a chance here to make some hay, go out and win some in regulation. So thanks everybody for listening to the radio the other night, and we'll get back at it.
Head coach André Tourigny wasn't thrilled with the game from his team. He said he didn't really mind anything, but the mindset, just didn't like the mindset that they played in the game. And sometimes you just come out and don't quite have your fastball, but he was happy the team found a way to get a point in a game where he didn't really like how they played. Doesn't change the fact that you want 2 points at home against a team wrapping up a 4-game road trip, 4 games and 6 nights, but It's hockey. You knew they were going to push. They were happy with their game against Colorado on Saturday. They lost 4-0, and we're 0-3 entering Utah on Sunday with losses to San Jose, Vegas, Colorado, coming into Salt Lake for the 5 p.m. faceoff. Those could be 4 of the 8 teams in the Western Conference playoff race that Columbus just saw 4 games in 6 nights, and they wanted a result. They found a way to get one. Let's hear what head coach André Tourigny thought after the game.
It's great we got a point, thanks to V, and we need to not be happy. I'm looking for the right word, but we need to acknowledge it's a point. It's a big point. It's important. We talk a lot about even when you don't have your A game, you need to find a way to get a point. We got a point, so it is what it is. I said for you, in front of you, for I don't know when's our last performance I was not happy about. Maybe I think it's Boston or something like that. It's early December, so it's a month. So I cannot arrive in front of you and complain about the team. The guys are playing hard. They play good. They were tuned in. Where focus is good. Everything. Okay, we play a bad game. If we play one bad game a month, you won't hear anything from me. But it's for sure right now disappointing. I cannot arrive in front of you and pretend it did not happen. It did happen, and it is what it is. We'll move on from it, but we need to let it sting a little bit.
Last game, Bear didn't like the 4-1 loss at Boston on December 16th. So almost a month ago, you look at the way Utah played against some losses that they thought they played really well in, losing 1-0 at Colorado, and then just a couple of games where a couple of spurts cost them, including this one on Sunday. But overall, Bear just didn't like the grand scope of the mindset for the Mammoth. So they pick up a point. For me, it's a lot easier to take a point on the road when your goal is to split 1 out of 2 points. That overtime or shootout loss gets you that 500 mark at home. When you're going for your 4th straight win, game 3 of a 7-game homestand, it's a little harder to swallow. But as Bear said, if you don't play well, if you find a way to get a point, you'll take that. Utah finding a way to get a point to force that game into overtime after that late penalty. But when you're winning, it kind of fuels you. You want to keep winning. That's how it felt on that 7-game winning streak here. Utah was looking to make it 4, but it's still 4 straight games with a point for the Mammoth. 3-0-1, 4-1-1 in January. More on that coming up in the Monday morning power play, but it does hurt. 5 out of possible 6 points to start the homestand. The good part of that is 5 of 6, 2-0-1, times that by 2 at a 7th game against Philly. You're in a good spot, but timesing 2-0-1 times 2 is going to be a little tougher as we get to the second half of this homestand. You beat Ottawa 3-1. There's 3-6-1 in the last 10. You beat St. Louis 4-2. They're 4-6 in their last 10, and you found a way to beat Columbus, who snapped a 4-game winless skid. I'm sorry, you got a point against Columbus, who snapped a 4-game winless skid on Sunday. So 2-0-1 against 3 teams who have a combined record of 12, 16, and 2 in their last 10 games. Now you move ahead to Toronto, a team that's 7-1-2 in their last 10. Dallas, 3-3-4 in their last 10. Seattle, 7-1-2 in their last 10. And Philly, 5-3-2 in their last 10. So Mammoth closing out the homestand with 4 teams who have a combined record of 22, 8, and 10 in their last 10 games. So it gets a little tougher here as this homestand goes on for the Mammoth. For me, a 7-game homestand, you can take the equivalent of 10 of 14 points. That's really, really good. So you're trending ahead of that right now with 5 of 6 points, but you got 4 teams coming in who are playing a lot better than the first 3 teams that you saw. And you're also looking at, for the Mammoth, 2 games where your goaltenders got you points. Karel Vejmelka on Friday. You heard Bear say it post-game and after the contest on Sunday and right there. And then Vanacek finding a way to get the Mammoth a point on this Sunday evening at the Delta Center as Columbus takes it by a count of 3-2 in overtime. We'll come back. More on the homestand, more on a really good January. We'll talk about the Olympians, Clayton Keller, take a look at the wild card race in the Western Conference. Adrian Denny with you. It's a Monday morning Power Play edition. Top 5 stories of the week coming up next on Mammoth Daily.
Get ready for the Monday morning power play.
Let's get to our Monday morning Power Play here. Top 5 stories entering the week, and we'll start with our top story, and that's Utah's start to January. 4-1-1 entering Sunday. That 4-1 record was tied for 4th in the NHL, and it all started with their goaltending, team defense, and goals against. 2.2 goals allowed a game, tied for 1st in the NHL in January entering Sunday. 8 third-period goals. Utah needed one Sunday, didn't get it. That was still tied for 3rd in the NHL entering Sunday's play. And off the rush, 3rd in the NHL with 8.2 chances a game. Had the Mammoth won the contest on Sunday night, it would have been their 5th win in January, which would have been tied for the most in the NHL. 10 points in January also would have been tied for the most in the NHL. So Utah at 4-1-1 in January, off to a good start. Through 6 games, you'll take it. That's a .750 winning percentage, including taking 2 of 3 on the East Coast and coming back home, starting your homestand 2-0-1. But for the Mammoth, it's all about what's next. On our second story here on the Monday Morning Power Play, let's go to goaltending and let's talk Karel Vejmelka and Vitek Vanacek. For Karel Vejmelka during January, it's been a pretty good start to the month for the Utah goalie, who's leading the NHL with 20 wins, the first goaltender from Czechia to be first to 20 wins in the NHL since Dominik Hasek did it a couple of times for the Detroit Red Wings. So that's the kind of company that Karel Vejmelka is in, as he was just named to the Olympic team for Czechia last week. But the numbers that he's been putting up, really, really good. In January, Utah's expected goals against entering Sunday, 18.1, but instead they've allowed just 11. And that's a pretty good goals saved above expected for Vejmelka, who entered Sunday with 20 wins, leading the NHL in wins in January, a 2.19 goals against average in January, 5th among players who have played at least 3, a save percentage of .920, 3rd among players with at least 3 games played. And then you add Vitek Vanacek to that. He stops 33 of 36, and the Mammoth get a point on Sunday. So Vejmelka and Vanacek, your goaltending for the Mammoth is your number 2 story of the week. Your number 3 story of the week for the Mammoth. How about Captain Clayton Keller? Multiple points in all 3 games to start the homestand. His 6 multiple point games since December 17th is tied for the 3rd most in the NHL, and a couple of more points on Sunday. He's now up to 43 points in 46 games. So again, the captain leading the way for the Mammoth, and we've seen him put the puck in the net, dish pucks out, and have a really nice last couple of weeks here. As we said, 6 multiple point games since mid-December for the captain, continuing to pile up the points. And look what he's done on this homestand. In 2 of the 3 games, he's gotten the assist on your first 2 goals. So Clayton Keller is going to be our number 3 story of the week. Let's get to our number 4 story. And how about those guys representing their countries in the Olympics? Clayton Keller being one, representing Team USA. JJ Peterka getting the call as well. He'll be representing Team Germany. Team Germany and Team USA will be playing in the 3rd game of the Olympics on the first Sunday of hockey. So circle that with Keller taking on Peterka. Karel Vejmelka named an Olympian for Team Czechia. And how about Olli Maatta as well for the 2nd time, going to be representing Team Finland. Head coach André Tourigny addressing the depth of the Mammoth roster right now, and that's why Olimata's not playing, but he'll be needed. He'll be called. Kyle Yamamoto was called upon on Sunday with Alexander Kerfoot going on injured reserve. We'll have a full roster update coming up to start our third period here on Mammoth Daily. But 4 Olympians going at it for the Mammoth. And you look at NHL teams in terms of Olympians, Utah in a pretty good spot with 4. All 32 teams have at least an Olympian. Utah tied for the 14th most with 4. You got Tampa Bay leading the way. They have 10 Olympians. Florida has 9. Minnesota, New Jersey, Colorado all have 8. Vegas has 7. Dallas has 7. So those are some of the teams that are piling up a lot of Olympians. Vancouver, Ottawa, LA Kings all have 5. So 4 for Utah, a pretty solid amount. Number 5 on your Monday morning power play. Who should you be rooting against this week when you're watching NHL hockey? How about Seattle and LA? Utah is tied with those 2 teams for the wildcard spot, the Western Conference. So 2 wildcard spots, 3 teams tied. Nashville's not far behind. They're 2 points in back of the Mammoth, coming off of a victory against Washington on Sunday. Blackhawks are back on track. Anaheim's really struggling. Ducks have 1 win in their last 10. They've lost 5 in a row. But as you're planning out what you're going to watch on TV this week, if you're engaged and wanting to watch some of those teams with Utah on the wild card, Seattle is at the Rangers on Monday. Dallas is at LA tonight as well. So quick look at the wild card, but Utah's right there again, tied for that spot with Seattle and LA. It's your Monday morning power play right here on Mammoth Daily. Top 5 stories of the week. We give them to you every Monday. We'll come back, some quick roster updates, and we'll give you some fun facts about the Winter Classic. So stay close. Third period next here on Mammoth Daily.
This is Mammoth Daily.
For the game on Sunday, Mammoth announcing Alexander Kerfoot week to week with an upper body injury. He left in the first period against St. Louis on Friday. So Karel Vejmelka was back in the lineup again. Head coach André Tourigny talking about the depth that the Mammoth have. And you always know you're going to need everybody. And Yamamoto always ready for the call. Utah's also recalled Kevin Rooney from the AHL's Tucson Roadrunners to fill that roster spot. Rooney had the game-winning goal for Tucson against the Iowa Wild on Saturday as the Roadrunners have come out of the holidays with a 6-0-1 record. All right, you ready for some Winter Classic fun facts? I've got them for you here on Mammoth Daily on this Monday morning power play edition. All right, so Utah, the 12th state to host a Winter Classic. Washington, D.C. has also hosted one. Salt Lake going to be the 16th city. The 2027 Winter Classic going to be the 18th celebration of the event. 19 of 32 NHL teams will have played in a Winter Classic after 2027. That's pretty good. Utah in season number 3 getting to host one. 13 other NHL teams haven't been in one yet. Utah is going to be the second team to host one in their 3rd season. Seattle also did in 2023. Mammoth currently have 7 players who played in an outdoor game: Ian Cole, Alexander Kerfoot, Olimata, John Marino, Mikhail Sergachev, Brandon Tanev, and Kyle Yamamoto. But Tanev and Yamamoto are the only Mammoth skaters who played in a Winter Classic with that 2023 Seattle team. For Utah, playing a rival in the Colorado Avalanche, played some really good games so far. 3 straight 1-goal games to start the season series between Utah and Colorado. 2027 Winter Classic will be the 47th NHL regular season outdoor game, and the Mammoth will be the 32nd franchise to participate in a regular season outdoor game. So all 32 teams will have played in one by the time we get to it next year. Rice-Eccles Stadium, home of the 2002 Winter Olympic and Paralympic opening and closing ceremonies, obviously the home of Utah football as well, 3.2 miles east of the Delta Center, and the 16th venue to host a Winter Classic. Expected to be over 50,000 people able to attend. It's the 9th college venue to host an outdoor game. Carter Finley Stadium in Raleigh. Hurricanes played there. Cotton Bowl in Dallas. Falcon Stadium in Colorado Springs, home of the Air Force Academy. Michigan Stadium in Ann Arbor. The Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium in Annapolis. Notre Dame Stadium in South Bend. We heard Jack McBain saying when he was a freshman, they were in town for that game. Ohio Stadium in Columbus, one as well, along with TCF Bank Stadium in Minneapolis. As far as altitude goes, 4,657 feet above sea level, fourth highest venue hosting an outdoor game behind Tahoe, 6,224 feet. Falcon Stadium in Colorado Springs, 6,621 feet. And Denver in the 2016 Stadium Series, 5,200 feet. So, some fun facts for you on the Winter Classic. Folks, taking your Tuesday mailbag questions. If you'd like to get involved in that, leave us a comment in the YouTube replies. You can leave us 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts as well. Would love to hear from you and get your questions for our Tuesday mailbag. We've got some room. We'll unpack the mailbag, hear from you. Coming up on our Wednesday Odd Man Rush edition, Barrett Hayton will join Mike and I as the three of us will get it together for an Odd Man Rush. So always look forward to talking with Barrett. We'll talk about the Winter Classic. We'll talk about Schmaltz and Keller. That's coming up on our Wednesday edition of Mammoth Daily. So get the questions in for the Tuesday mailbag, the Wednesday Odd Man Rush you'll want to be there for, and you'll hopefully want to be with us every day on Mammoth Daily, Monday through Friday, folks. Tuesday night with Toronto, that's a late game, 8 o'clock. It'll be on ESPN Plus and Hulu. So we'll have your only local broadcast on Hockey Night in Utah on the radio on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone, KSL Sports app, SiriusXM, and the NHL app. That's what's coming up. Dallas in town Thursday, Seattle at 3 p.m. on Saturday, and then a week from Wednesday, the 7-game homestand will wrap up against the Philadelphia Flyers. Mike back with me for the full episode coming up on the Tuesday Mailbag edition. We'll talk to you then right here on Mammoth Daily.